Good evening. Today we'll have our fourth installment of the horror comic character drawing sessions, and today we're gonna explore the lighting possibilities. I mean, quote-unquote lighting. Of course, we are working with layers in Procreate, and so this is not really a 3D program or something like that where we would actually have a light source, but we can simulate something like that using different blending options within the layers. Okay, so now, without further ado, let's go ahead. This is approximately the state of the project when we left. Last time I made some corrections. I added the hair device on the right side. And actually this is called an Alice band in English. Fascinating. Okay, might have something to do with, I don't know, Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland? Not sure. Okay, so something else I did is I added some, a bit of a stronger outline here. I corrected some minor issues with the drawing. And well, then let's have a go and let's see what we can do in Procreate to actually simulate something like lighting and shadow. The first thing I'm going to do is I'll add another layer. I've been grouping the layers since the last time, so we are having one folder right here with color and light, the ink above and the pencils below. And then there's an ink reference layer, and this is actually a quite nice feature within Procreate, which doesn't cause the same problems I had last time when filling the areas within the inking when I used the selection, because the selection in Procreate can't grow, and you don't need that when you use your line art in a separate layer. And you actually check reference on the layer menu, the pop-up. Okay, now let's see what we can do. I'll include that in the color and light folder, and there we see we've got a little layer there with another mask on top of it. You know, my standard procedure as usual, I'm using a mask on top of a color layer, and within the color layer there's a kind of a grayish blue. That will be our color for the shadow. Now let's have a go. I'll draw within the shadow layer, the mask of the shadow layer, and now let's see what we can do. And so, all right. So now the first thing I'm going to do is just block out these areas where I think the shadow should be. And for the first go at lighting this character, I will be positioning the imagined lighting source on the left from the character, above the character and in front of the character. So the light will actually be coming from above and right. Why isn't that? I'm here, that's okay. And well, of course it's yeah, right. So let's have another layer for these annotations and stuff. So actually the light is coming from that direction and from the front. That would be the idea. So okay, now make that a bit more. So like this, and then we are drawing inside the shadow. Oop, there we are. Okay, so that works. Now the pencil or the tool I'm using for this would be, I think I'll take a medium airbrush for now, and I will be, yeah, this is working, okay. Then we get to reduce the size of this and maybe the opacity of the airbrush, and slowly but surely we will have a shadow here, we'll have a shadow right there, and a bit of a shadow here, below the nose. And since the light is coming from the left, we're having, the eraser could also be an airbrush tool right there. So that would be better, maybe a bit smaller, like that. And now I'm adding the shadow again, removing a bit, like that. And then we'll have the hair casting a shadow on the forehead, like that. And on the left side will be darker. So, okay. This might look a bit strange in the beginning, but once we found the time to add the detail, it will look much better. So, okay, on the right side here, there will be shadow, or at least it will be much darker. The chin will cast a massive shadow, depending upon the exact position of our light source. And then the right side, well, her left side, but from our point of view, this is the right. So, something like that. Maybe have a little shadow over there. And doing this, that, and I'll place a shadow on the right side. Okay, now this shadow is a bit maybe not strong enough. I changed the settings up front. The shadow layer itself, the color, is multiplying blend mode. So any value the color in here has is multiplied with the combined color value of the layers below. But I think the 30% opacity is a bit, well, we could improve on that. Let's say 50, just for the first pass. And there you see, okay, we could improve on that. Let's go, where are we here? Yeah, I accidentally have drawn in the color layer. That's not so good. Okay, return. So that's better. A bit smaller maybe. See, this brush is behaving strangely. There's the rendering isn't what I want. Intense blending is what I want. I don't want these strange white lines to appear. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So there we go. This is pretty massive, pretty pretty opaque. So something like that. Let's get that down there. And we can always take the eraser and remove some of the color that has gotten on the hair, where it shouldn't be, because, well, there ought to be more light than below the hair, because of ambient occlusion and similar effects, and because of the cast shadow. Now, okay, increase the size of the tool. Let's get this one here. So now we've got a more or less homogeneous, well, a consistent color shadow, or shadow, undo shadow color, so something like that. Okay, this is pretty strong. We'll reduce the opacity later on again. That's just for the first pass, to actually see what we're doing. Reduce the size over there, the cast shadow, then freeing some part of the eyebrow from the accidentally applied color over here. And I need to decrease the brush size for that. So this is dark, and this should be not quite so dark. Okay, like that. Then we go on the left side. There we are. All right, good. So now let's have the cast shadow right here. That's okay. I should actually work with a larger tool in the beginning. That would be the better practice, the better method. So just blocking that out. So then we could have some shadow over here. It might not be visible on your screen. That is, we may have to change something, some settings to get this more visible later on. And let's get a bit brighter over here, and then maybe get something out of here. The nose, the tip of the nose, the front of the forehead, where the nose starts to protrude from the skull. That would also be a bit lighter, but only a bit. Okay, like that. And then I'll be adding the cast shadow from this little strand of hair over here. So there will be a cast shadow. Okay, but this is too much detail. I got to zoom out of it. So approximately that could be a shadow. Now I'll go to the side view and add some rough shadow, just like we did with the front view. Okay, somewhere here will be shadow, slightly bit then below the chin. In any case, a bit like that. Within the ear over here, of course, there will be shadow, will be darker. There's not so much light in there. So, and then also the cast shadow below the eyebrows here, maybe below the eye itself. This one here. Okay, this looks not so pretty when we compare to some beauty shots, but there might actually be some shadow, and this is just a rough first pass. So we just stick with it for the meantime, and later on we can always refine this. So, and then I want some cast shadow from the hair. I will just erase the rest and remove the accidentally shadowed part of the face and the hair. Here I'll remove it again. Well, I could also not quite. Okay, let's use the reference layer. When I drop black here, this should, yeah, okay, exactly. That everything is black again where the hair area is concerned, which is saving me some time. That's nice. Okay, so and then we maybe should reduce the opacity or some more light up here, a bit of light right there, maybe even here. It will be reflected, so we could reduce it a bit. This is too strong, so just lighter shadow over here, This is also very strong. Okay, now, all right. So let's say we've got a bit more of light, more light coming from that direction, so the upper lid gets lit a bit more. So something like that. Okay, and now we could dive into detail. Maybe here's some shadow and some cast shadow over here. All right, good. Then there and there in the ear. And now let's have a look at the eyelashes. There will be a shadow cast from the lashes on the eyeball. So we are using our airbrush tool and drawing a faint shadow right here and below the lower lid. Something in the way, like this, a bit. Yeah. Still rough, we can still improve later on. Then we could sharpen this edge over here. Good, all right. So now's the question, this bluish gray tone for the shadow might work, but I think it would be more pleasant if we adjust the color of the shadow. So let's see what we can do. Activate the layer with the shadow and the shadow color over here, and then I'm gonna pick one a bit warmer, maybe a bit warmer, dark brown maybe, something like that. Yeah, maybe. So problem right now is it's using the reference layer. Now I'm deactivating the reference layer. Back to the shadow, so the color spreads everywhere. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, we could always change the color later on. For the time being, this helps looking at the image without having too much pain. All right. So, all right. The finger tool got the soft brush. I'll soften some of the. Yep. I'll soften some of the. Yeah, that's wrong. This one. Some of the gradients over there. So that could be a bit easier. Okay. So then we could sharpen the edges of the cast shadows. Okay, like that, and there, and we'll see shadow over here. Oh, this isn't all that bad. Let's see, it comes together. Far from perfect, but it's an improvement. Let's see, especially if you're looking at the lower edge of the hairline, right there. That works. And the shadows that are the non-cast shadows. I'm lacking some vocabulary here. We'll have much smoother so the audience, the people looking at the image, are getting an idea how the surface curvature is positioned in the space. The modulation of brightness is your cue to infer the actual shape along the z-axis within the image. The axis pointing into the image. It's an imaginary axis, of course. You would need a 3D program to actually work with this. But if you think of this axis actually going into the image, then alongside this axis, you are conveying information about the form with, well, shadow and light. So, all right, then we could think about the actual light. If I remove some of the shadow right here, then we get an idea that there's some highlight on the upper lid, which is also conveying some information about the skin, about the surface of the skin at this part. So we're saying, okay, this is more reflective over here, or more reflecting. And but we also need to draw this out a bit with the smudge tool. So something like that. Okay. And let's have it this way. Remove the opacity of the eraser a bit, and then we are modeling the curvature of the eyeball, which causes the lid to look like that. And a nice gradient, a nice gradient this should become. Go even deeper over there. And well, we don't have to reach ultimate depth with this shadow. We can always put another layer on top of that, and increasing the depth of our shadow with another layer, also using a layer whose blend mode, which we use in the multiplier blend mode. Okay, and maybe some reflectiveness over here. Yep, that okay. That might actually work for a while. Still far away from perfect, but better than before, and better is good, as Obama said. Okay, he meant something totally different. I hope nobody's offended. As usual, this session will have a question and answer section at the end. If there are any questions, just put them in the chat box. Then I'll answer them at the end. And if not, well, then I'll skip this question and answer part at the end. So, okay. Well, it's progress. So, then, okay, this area is a bit, yep. And now I will soften the area around on her left cheek. From our point of view, it's the right cheek, but it's her left cheek over here. So our protagonist, our hero, so all right. Now let's have a look at the shadow on above the right eyelid. That could be a bit darker over here. It's a bit too much. Okay, yeah, right. So, and then we can start to think about the chin, I guess. So also soften the gradient over here and draw it out over some larger part of the area, and maybe have her chin be a bit more visible. Okay, we got to be careful. There's no curvature in the side view, so that doesn't stick out in front of her. It's only the mouth protruding and casting a small shadow over there. Now add some adding some shadow over here, and then using the finger, the smudge tool, in order to move the shadow around a bit, so like that, and then go here, and of course the reflectiveness of the surface right here, at least if she's wearing any kind of lipstick or something like that, it will be much more glossy, the area over here. So we definitely need to put some light here. That won't be enough just to remove the shadow. Therefore, we'll be adding a highlight layer later on. So put that out here, and then on the upper part of her lips, upper lip there, adding something like that. Not quite satisfied with you. Yeah, well, okay, let's keep it like that. Good, nice. So let's have a look at the eyeballs right here. The cast shadow can be much stronger, and especially here where we already have the inking also casting shadows, which is a bit problematic for the lighting, but we'll see later on. I might have to take that back a step, and then we'll create a gradient within the area of the iris. So, and on the right side, on her left eyeball, we do that similarly, and then we get the shadow of the eyeball itself, the non-cast shadow, the body shadow. Is it body shadow in English? Got to look that up again. So meaning the shadow on the object caused by the object having curvature, and the curvature not exposing the surface to the light. So yeah, this might work. So I get some highlight over there. Still can improve this with the finger tool. Okay. Yep, comes together. Still needs work, but it actually doesn't look that horrible like it did before. So the cast shadow of the nose, then we might reduce the shadow right here a bit, a tiny little bit, to give the viewer an idea of the surface on the upper lip. And then I will add some reflected light from the environment. When we're looking at her left cheek from our perspective on the right, we could remove a bit of the shadow just right at the edge here, and that would be translated as reflected light from the environment, improving the plasticity of the image, the perceived plasticity, like that. And then we'd also see that at the ear, somewhere like here, if we got a light source in the back or something reflecting the light, then we would see something like that, I guess. So, and the nose would also be hit by the reflected light, somewhere here, maybe that area, a bit light. Oh, let's light it up a bit. Come on. This is maybe a bit too much. Okay, let's get around. Okay, this is too much. I gotta reduce this a bit. So, and then we could add a bit more like here. Of course, that is an exaggeration. That doesn't matter. We are not drawing a realistic picture. This is some comic concept art. So sue me if you think it's not realistic enough. Okay. Now let's put the cast shadow back where I accidentally removed it down there. And well, looking at the throat, there we got some sinew or muscle strands down there, which might also get some of the reflected light here, somewhere there. Yeah. No, maybe a bit reduce this. Okay. Now the rest of the throat, something like that. This is too much, but we can reduce it with the finger tool, just over there. All right. And now when we are looking at the cast shadow on the throat, there is it's not really working. We need to get the curvature of the surface, and so if we are doing it like that, we're telling the user or the viewer, okay, there is some curvature on the surface. This is better. Okay, looking a bit better, yeah. So then this is of course much too rough. There will be some body shadow over there, and there will be some cast shadow maybe from the hair, maybe not that much, we'll see. Well, light is coming from the front, so not that much, but it will be darker back there. So something like that. And then of course when we're looking at the shoulder, we should also smoothen the okay, smoothen the gradient over here. So let's go. Just like that. Okay, so it should give or convey a good idea of the curvature of the surface. And then of course we can also put the reflection right there by erasing a bit of the other part of the here, like this. So adding to the impression of the plasticity. Good. All right. And then, well, when we are considering the upper body parts, there we might choose to extend the shadow a bit, just with a with a very light hue, very almost unperceivable shadow here, but we still convey some information about the curvature of the surface right here to the viewer, who might otherwise think that this is all flat, which is not, because the ribs are bowed or bows or round, or, well, you know. Okay, now this is a bit better right now, and I think I will leave it like that, and we're continuing the lighting in the next streaming session, most probably tomorrow evening around, well, half past 8. I might push the start of the streaming a bit farther in the evening or in the night, because I need to go jogging when it's still bright, or at least I won't stumble over some forest animals when I'm jogging. Okay, right, there's no question in the chat box, so I guess you've got no question, everything is clear. If something comes up, you can also comment the saved or the stored streams later on, then I will see that and I can answer them, and I will. And until then, well, we'll see each other at least then next time, I guess, I hope. Okay, thanks, bye.